Well, this is, as I said, this is like the first one. This is like the second one. And then we had like the most characteristic one is like the medium tension power line, which cross like diagonally, the sides diagonally. We were just like 25 years old. We just finished our studies in architecture. By then we were like three. We were Javier, Vicente, and I. And so we just finished and we didn't know what to do. So somebody told us about Europan and we checked it out and it sounded good, you know, like Europan. This sounds promising. They have like a wide range of opportunities. And by then we really liked traveling around, and actually we knew Vienna before. So we thought, okay, so let's take part in Vienna because we like Vienna and let's see.
One of the main issues of Europan is that it is an ideas competition that is not, in the beginning, not so much loaded up with the difficulties of implementing. It's more about a fresh approach to the sites. And the great thing is that teams from abroad, they're not Austrian teams here, it's a Spanish team, how they read the site.
The first decision was to split the project into three different levels. So the first one was going to be like a very, very, very low building, which is this horizontal piece that we called, or we baptized like the cloud.
The Spanish team was very optimistic about the urban development here, making a mixed-use project, because they said, okay, Vienna is the town of music, and we have to make a big, big musical center. So this was the idea of the plinth of the project. And on top, they said, okay, we can do the cloud. They called it the cloud. We can do a sort of very special housing because, as you can hear, the subway is quite loud. So we do more introverted carpet type of housing. So they created three different layers of space on top of each other, which was really quite ambitious. And the reason why the jury chose this project was exactly because of this ambition to do something that was so optimistic that would challenge the site and challenge the actors in the implementation process. So one important thing is also to find a good partner office, a local office, because the scale of the project is quite big for a young office that is not familiar with the local rules of construction and so on, and also the subsidized regulations are quite complex in Vienna.
You know, even in the first meetings, we had like some other local architects. Some of them took part in the competition jury, like Rudiger Leiner, who is a very, let's say, like well-known architect here. So he defended us. And the thing is that we didn't even need to talk. So we were just present, but we didn't even need to talk. So he defended the project, he defended us. And I remember that there were some times in which Bernd told us, okay, just keep shut, don't talk, and say yes.
So we invited developers to apply for a partnership with the architects. So instead of doing an architectural competition, we did a developer competition for finding the best developer for the Spanish team. And the city agreed because they were also quite good partners, strong partners, and they can also put pressure on the developers because they give the subsidized money to them. So if they say, okay, we do it, so they have no choice, the developers. They had to apply. And at least in the end, one developer submitted a project. That was the ÖSW.
And if you want to build in Vienna a social housing project, you have to fulfill all the needs. And it's a four-pillar system. It's based on architecture, economic, ecological, and the last one is social sustainability pillars. This is all very important, and all four pillars every project has to fulfill. And then apart from that, it's always easier if you're a company that has been long-term in this business, that is known and that can be trusted.
Because, you know, we come from the Mediterranean Sea, and for us, you know, the patio is, you know, extremely common. If you are in the ground floor or the first floor, you have nowhere to look at because, you know, you have the elevated metro line, you have like some kind of ugly neighboring buildings. So it's better to look up at the sky. And so this really costed like much effort for them to understand because, you know, it was really weird not to have like the standard windows, you know, on the perimeter, like looking outside.
But the architects did a wonderful job because the Spanish influence on the idea of building patio houses and patio apartments made usually what we do, the balconies, terrace, lodges, they also always go to the outside, but now they integrated it into the living area and not close to the metro station.
Parkt natürlich und die Leute wollen nicht gerne ausziehen. Also sie finden das sehr wohnenswert hier.
Die Räumlichkeiten hier sind auch nicht sehr versteckt oder was, es ist alles offen. Und das ist eigentlich auch, glaube ich, das, was die Leute wollen. Ne? Ja, und Respekt muss ich sagen. Also, diese Anlage ist sehr super gelungen. Ne? Das ist. Und ich hoffe, dass wir auch immer hier bleiben, also nicht ausziehen oder so.
It took at least from 2003, from the competition to the real start of the implementation, it took more than 10 years. So this was really a long process of adaptation.
Let's say that the project changed a lot. I wouldn't say that the strategy itself changed because the strategy basically remains the same, but the final appearance changed. Let's say like the cloud itself, as in the very beginning as well, we were kind of thinking of invading the area underneath the power line. But after a while, the ERSV decided not to place anything built underneath the power line. Finally, the program that remained under the power line was the park. In the competition proposal, the project was mainly white, with just some metallic facades, especially those facing like the power line. But at a certain point during the process, the client came to us and said, well, you have to know that white is a little bit depressing because it reminds us, you know, the cloudy, snowy days, which we don't like at all. So please reconsider, you know, this issue. And then we said, okay, because we quickly understood that this thing of painting the facades is something cultural. Actually, if you go around Vienna, I would say like most of the facades are painted. Then we worked and we made different versions with different colors. The shape itself, but especially the color, has started to implement like a new identity awareness.
And in Europan, I always say it's an early born child, the project. It's still very naive in a good way, because it's a fresh reading of the potential of the site, but then you have to start a huge adaptation process on the regulations, on the feasibility of the project. And if you build up a good dialogue, then still the project can change, but still it can be an interesting project. And I think here it was a huge learning machinery somehow. To see what is the competition project and what is now implemented is quite different. But you can say today the architects and also Europan, of course, is still proud what we have achieved here in this mutual sort of partnership with all these actors. It was a long process of adaptation.
On voit bien que dès qu'on est sur la question urbaine, on est sur la question de comment on s'organise en ville, comment on vit ensemble en ville, quels sont nos modes de vie d'urbain, de civilisation urbaine. Et la question des modes de vie, tout le monde sait que ça ne se change pas rapidement. Et donc, il est d'autant plus important d'interroger la génération, la nouvelle, qui va arriver aux affaires, parce que c'est elle qui va avoir le temps de prospecter, d'inventer ces nouveaux modes de vie.
On doit pouvoir travailler à la fois la question sociale, sans l'oublier parce que les inégalités sont en train de progresser. Donc, comment faire pour ne surtout pas abandonner et à penser la question environnementale. Et c'est la rencontre, finalement, de ces deux questions-là qui sont déterminantes.